Hello, whoever is here or in the watching the recording years later,
Yeah.
because they're
Video
looking for.
games was a kind of medium of entertainment that was often interactive in nature, and it was ultimately a mistake.
From the beginning. We shouldn't have done this.
We should never have done this.
There was only one mistake in the 20th century that was bigger than video games, and obviously we all know now is anime.
It's trash. Oh, I'm enjoying EPO at the moment, though, I've got to say.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying your screenshots.
They
All of them
can't
just have
say,
same
what
caption anime.
exciting press conference.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, some of the anime is crowdfunded. There's your bridge. Crowdfund. Recently, just like a few hours ago, essentially, less than 24 hours ago, maybe, or almost 24 hours ago, a
yeah.
very important Kickstarter campaign ended in a success, even though it didn't look like that. And this is the Tale of Tale guys. You can see a video here. By the way, I recommend watching this video. And the special challenge is managing to watch it till the end. And if you can do that, then feel free to unsubscribe, and we will never to speak to you. I couldn't do it, I'm saying. And if you're a bigger man than me, then I don't really want to be friends with you. Um,
All right, I'm going to see if I can be a bigger man. just more of a challenge. I'll lie about it if I manage to watch the video. But I never actually went and watched this. I more just read about the concept. I read the
Cool.
campaign
Yeah,
brief.
I mean, with the
That's
sound,
it.
without the sound, is it's absolutely watchable. But when they're also describing this, it's quite painful. So these are the guys who
Yeah.
made Sunset. We will talk about that game at some point in People's Exhibit, and then
Yeah.
they Sunset didn't do very well. Apparently, they were still in debt after he came out, and they thought they would be immediately out of the debt after he came out, and that didn't materialize.
Ah.
And they were like, "Fuck video games."
Yeah.
We, as Ed described once, we put the controllers in the bucket and shat on the bucket with the controls in it, and then gave it to you, and you didn't like it, and fuck you, gamers. We're not doing games anymore. So they are not doing games anymore. They're doing 3D modeling.
Yeah.
For well, it's gonna be free. It's not for free. They're gonna get paid for it, which was this Kickstarter. So they made 30. Well, they wanted 35,000 euros, and they made 37. Even though
Hmm.
until last like 3 4 hours,
Hour.
it didn't look they were gonna succeed, but in the last like 90 minutes, they went over the threshold, and they got it. And so they're gonna do famous religious art in a 3D form, which you can ideally experience with your virtual goggle things that people are crazy about nowadays.
So one question I have, although this is an unanswerable question, but it's something I want to pose anyway, is do you think, I mean, and then there'll be multiple answers as well because this concerns multiple artists. What do you think the reactions to this piece, this bit of artwork, would be by the artists who made the 2D paintings? Do you think some would react in horror that they're presuming to fill in the blanks around the edges of their work, or some are like, oh, look at this cool application of technology, something I could never have done? Do
I
you
don't.
think?
I think it's you're right that it's unanswerable, because then first they would have to be like, "Oh my God, what is this shit?" when they would see the 21st century.
We'd have to go first. There were like
Single cell
single-celled
organisms,
organisms.
yeah. And they're like, "What?" And they'll be like, "Evolution," and they'll be like, "What?"
What?
So it'd be, I guess it would be quite tough on them to experience. It's tough on me, and I know
I
all
mean,
about single cell
imagine
organisms.
explaining what a hashtag was to.
Yeah, you'd have to like literally go through centuries of bullshit to get to that particular piece of bullshit, and then for them
Yeah.
to understand. Maybe like, I don't know, it would take probably like 2 3 years for someone from Middle Ages to kind of get used to living now.
Yeah,
Um,
I would say that's a decent amount of time. You'd have obviously your phase of just like utter shock, and then you'd have the gradually getting used to it, and you'd start being like kind of a foreign exchange student to an extent, except with like weird, certain like gaps in your knowledge. But I think eventually, yeah, 2 years, I reckon you'd start being pretty used to it.
mm.
Yeah.
Start walking around in the streets with the VR goggles on and shit like that. be great.
So yeah, this is a VR thing, right?
Not only, so you can also just download this stuff and do it on your like browser or whatever. So it's meant to be free. Everyone's gonna have access to it without any. Oh, there you go. There's a dollar sign crossed over on my screen right now. It's very timing, amazing timing. But yeah, it's one of those Kickstarters where you pay for something and you don't actually get anything in return.
Uh,
Well. If you were to pay, too late now. But if you had paid €637 or whatever, all the amounts are very specific. I guess they'll calculate them in the ancient Roman currency or something. I don't know, because the conversion is weird. They live in a country that uses euros, so it's weird that their prices or tiers were like 27 euros and 33 cents or something. But if you paid around 600, I believe, they would follow you back on Twitter, which was the best tier in Kickstarter history that I've ever seen. I think. I don't think anyone even comes close to a reward like that. I would never, for example, follow you back on Twitter, even if you paid me more than €600. So they're already bigger men and women than me, especially women.
Andrew, I just realised what their reward dollar amounts are about. They're Fibonacci numbers.
No, it's sad.
That's quite sad, isn't it?
I'm sad. I'm sad because of that. I don't know. Maybe Fibonacci's fucking crazy.
I'm pleased
happy.
having worked it out, but I'm also saddened.
This is another example where intellect makes you sadder, not a happier person. You figured out a sad thing, Ed. Quick,
I worked out.
Quick, get a brick. Hit
sad
yourself on the head.
I feel like I'm watching a video game version of the Da Vinci Code, and I wish I was dead.
Oh, yeah. That would. I think I would have that reaction if I was doing that activity.
Yeah. So the concept of extending artwork into other dimensions and stuff is interesting. There's nothing intrinsically bad about trying to do cool stuff, especially like preservation of history stuff. So I'm down with that, and making it accessible, making it free for people. That's cool. No one's being tricked, which is good as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little cool on this company. I don't really like the vibe of them very much. I was in no danger of backing any of this. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. Ultimately, that was a lie because I'm not going to look.
I'll tell you. I'll look. But I think there's a moral, perhaps an ethical issue here, where, like, for example, you're doing some, I don't know, like Mary Magdalene or someone, some Christian religious figure, because they're doing just Christian art, aren't they? And so it's some woman saint something, and you have to do her from behind as well, right? So how do you know how big her ass was?
Phrasing.
Well, I mean it. I stand by it. How do you know how big an ass was on some like saint? I don't know. How do you figure this shit out? Like,
that sort of leads back to my first questions. Like, what do you think the artist would say? They'd say like, "Motherfucker, I'll show you what you need to see. Putting in more. What the hell are you doing? You're vandalizing my work. You're putting on the scary face onto that one painting. You know the one."
Yeah. So.
So yeah, it's interesting. I initially thought it was just there you will be making nice environments to look at as a thing to use VR for. I didn't realize that it was extending art pieces into walk around dioramas.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find out that that's what it was, because about 75% of their Kickstarter page was quotes about how great they are.
Yeah, I don't really.
And after that, there was a little bit about the project, and then it was like, "Thank you." And one of the guys said that they really tickle his libido.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Don't.
So, which brings us back to the Saints' asses.
Oh yeah, this is the thing. I always go to like the National Gallery or whatever, and I'll look at like a religious painting, and that was really all that was around at the time when the only people rich enough to commission art was the clergy in the church. I do often think when I'm there and I'm looking at someone doing a little pray thing with their saintly robes and stuff, and I think, oh, I'd like to fuck them.
you heard it here first, guys.
I wonder what it'd be like if they weren't an oil painting and instead they were a person and I could fuck them.
And then start convincing icons to turn around.
Yeah. I'd be like,
Okay, pray for them to turn around. Better believe.
here's my donation.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think I'm at least spent.
I think we dried this up. This piece of art. Greenman Gaming is green and not gray, they insist. They got into a bit of trouble recently with none other but Reddit people. And this is the kind of thing, how I see this whole conflict. I'm not even going to tell you about the conflict first, I'm going to tell you how I see it first. So,
Good.
This is like Godzilla fighting Mothra. I don't give a shit, they're both monsters.
Oh man. I'm not super familiar with Greenman Gaming.
Good. You lucky man. I've bought a thing from them once, and they still keep sending me stuff that is now it just goes directly to spam. I think my account with them is called Could I Please Not. I don't even kid you. That's my username.
That's pretty good.
So back in May, they turned out that they were selling some shady keys for Witcher 3. And since then, people were like, "Oh, they're the bad guys," and the Reddit people were also thinking they were bad guys, and they were like, "No, we're good guys, and they were like, "No, you're bad guys," and they banned them from some forum or something. Like their products are not featured on some. Who cares? And these guys were like, "No, this is wrong. We are good guys. We'll prove this to you." And now they indicate source on everything they sell. So they're selling you like a discounted version of Star Wars Battlefuck, and in the source it will say, I think it says, what does it say?
Authorized distributor?
Yeah, which
my
is
question
nothing.
My question is, what?
Yeah, exactly. How does this fix? And no one, I haven't seen any article that actually points out that this is insufficient information to begin with.
Yeah. Because I'm just going to type authorized. What does it even say? Authorized distributor now. I'm going to show you how easy it is. Authorized distributor.
Oh my god, you have source material. That's very good.
Boom! Look at that integrity. I just did it.
Yeah.
I just created integrity out of thin air.
Internet is so good, isn't it? Everything is there. You can download everything, like
Amazing.
Integrity. I'm downloading.
You wouldn't download a handbag.
Actually.
Yes, I would.
So they're good now. They're good guys because they wrote they literally typed the thing, and
I'm not getting them confused with that other key seller that we were talking about who lost it.
G2A to G2G.
What is it with G's? Like, is the only good one GOG? Like, they're the OG of the key seller G's?
Yeah, because they've been around the longest, I think. So they're the OG. Yeah. Gangster,
I mean, that is
original
CD
gangster.
Projekt as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
they don't sell keys at all. They just give you actual downloads.
that's true.
Some of the new
there
games,
is no DRM.
Some of the new games come with keys, and you haven't. I think you can. Actually, can you? No, you can't. No, there's no keys at all. You always just download that shit. It's all DRM free. So they're very different from Greenman Gaming and G2G, GBG,
Yeah.
G.
G2 find a new esport to play.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, there you go. Burn unit is now coming to your location. So that's not the only brand name we have. We have another brand name, Google. There, you may have heard about them. This is what their page used to look like about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So
back when you could like read it.
Yeah, exactly. So they are doing relatively good thing, and without actually typing authorized good thing or something into their website, they are going to support, they claim, people fighting for their videos in court.
Specific people.
American people. That they were
with lots of views.
With lots of views, yeah. So they actually said kind of like, yeah, it's just going to be like 2 or 3 guys, sorry.
Yeah, it's an admission of token support of an idea which they should be doing. Like, it's a nice gesture, and it is obviously a gesture rather than any real commitment, but it could be the start of something, or it could just remain this gesture.
But also, there's no really fair use laws like say in Britain that we don't have that, do we?
We must have something because otherwise you wouldn't be able to do parody.
Yeah, there's just I guess it's just worded differently because like the whole remix thing that YouTube is pushing, I think that's just American. Like we have
Use UK.
I think we have the if it's news you can show it, but it's always limited to like tiny bits and stuff like that. So I think it's a bit more strict. It just it's kind of like with marijuana in UK. It's like yeah, it's illegal, but no one's gonna really chase you around that much.
Yeah, if you're
So,
white, especially.
so yeah, copyright marijuana kind of same in UK. Yeah, so they're doing that, but yeah, it's not going to concern you unless you're rich and famous and living in the United States. So
Yeah.
don't worry about it too much.
One
Coming
of
to
the
your location later.
the sort of one of the top comments on that thread was pretty good. I didn't read too much beyond it, but essentially it was a guy saying, "Okay, nice start, but what would be really good and effective would be to change the way that the claims work."
Yeah, I
Because
saw that.
as you mentioned before, just to recap, the claims work. As soon as someone and anyone can make a claim, you immediately lose any income on it, and
Yep.
it goes to the claimant while this is all pending. And that requires absolutely nothing of them except for to make the claim. And this money can never be recovered.
Yeah, you're guilty until proved innocent, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will also receive a strike while pending, and strikes are no joke. You only get 3, and then your account's fucked.
That's if you're getting a copyright strike.
Yeah.
It can if you get a content claim, it's different, so you don't actually lose anything from that except for money.
Okay, so the content claims the money, and then the strikes are the more severe thing, which is
Yeah.
copyright.
Yeah,
Okay.
so for that they have to actually file a thing, and then you get that strike. So they would have to like write to Google, as opposed to using an automatic service where they like you upload a thing and then Google looks for that thing in the videos, which is the claim, and then the other one is that the strike thing.
But this is the kind of thing that, say, Nintendo does quite a lot of. They have no
Yes.
problem manually typing in "get fucked FWG," for example.
Yeah, so they have a pretty active legal department, I'd say. They're very the libido is out there. It's doing stuff.
They like to tickle your DMCA's.
Yeah, they tickle them all the way until the videos disappear, go poof.
So yeah, I think it's safe to say that we would agree that the probably most effective thing to do as far as fixing their policy towards fair use, etc., is to fix that aspect of it
Yeah,
from the perspective of people who rely on this to make money and can have our incomes fucked with
yeah.
to a large degree by anybody.
I think this is going to be also like a shift in their general paradigm because they're shifting away from ads to the subscription service.
That's
So
true.
they're gonna give a less fuck about the subscription service, about the ads, and more about people staying with them and watching interesting stuff, as opposed to just like whatever they watch, we get money.
Yeah, which is, I think, a good thing.
Yeah. We also have stuff about Payday 2 this time around again. They
Yep.
just don't want to. It's kind of the thing that doesn't want to go away. You know, just kind of just stays just stuck.
It's an ass that won't quit.
Ah, very good. A saint's ass. So they increased the amount of things you can buy in the game, and people continue to be unhappy about it. This is essentially the news. And the mods quit. They had some like what do you call them? Volunteer people modding their.
Some like community moderator. They're volunteers. You're saying?
Yeah, they were not paid. But
Okay.
there was like I think there was 3 of them because it's a huge community and there's a lot of shit happening every day. So someone has to look at the forums.
So this is the Steam forums
yes,
that are being
yeah.
kind of looked at.
Yeah,
Okay.
but because they have like every day probably about 30 to 50,000 people play the game, so I would assume a lot of content generates. Someone has to take a look, see if it's not just racism. So these guys apparently quit over this stuff because they were getting so much hatred over the changes and switched to the microtransactions that and they were not obviously not paid for this. They were like, "Fuck this! My life is worth a bit more than just doing this for free." And
Yeah,
they're gone.
absolutely. That's totally understandable, and it's a cost that they should probably, weigh in their equation, which includes tons of microtransactions and a pissed off community.
Oh yeah, maybe they could use some of that money to pay the mods, like have paid mods. Like they get salary for that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's good
like, I'm
use of
much more likely to
microtransactions.
put up with shit if I'm being paid for it. Sort of capitalism in a nutshell.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of capitalism, sometimes is so much of it that you can lose your head.
Damn.
So Fallout 4 is something that has been people talk about recently. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's something.
It's a game
Yeah.
I've only just heard of.
Yeah, so, but there's an interesting bug in it, or at least one guy encountered it in his playthrough, where he had a nice little meeting with a Deathclaw, and after that he survived it, but he realized that he had zero perception after that fight. And when he took a third person look at himself, because I think you can do that in Fallout,
Yeah.
he realized he has no head. But he kept on living, and he made a moderately funny video about it, which is in the background, and you can see in the description of the video. So there, that's the thing. AAA
Yeah, it
games.
chronicles how it happened, and then the effects, pluses and minuses of having it after the fact. It's worth having a little look. It's one of those things. It's like it's a company has somehow managed to make a brand of hilarious bugs and lazy code, like into a successful financial model, which is impressive and terrible.
Um, it's this is not probably the only bug that is in there. I've heard that it's quite janky in general, but at least this one is amusing. Apparently quite funny when he goes to the barbers, because you can have different haircuts in the game, and they keep taking his money, but he's not seeing anything different, because obviously he has no head.
You'd at least
I
like
see
the
there.
barber to go to cut and then be like, and then just get the mirror and be like,
I wonder if they're just gonna go like, oh, it's a feature, radiation. That's just
radiation.
it's just what
And lose
happens.
your head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Game scores are a thing as well, just like no head in the Fallout 4. And there was this thing that apparently was doing rounds where people, a little joke, a little visual joke, where
Yeah.
people are comparing how the scores were done in the 80s, 90s, and 90s, and how they're done in the last 5 years. And you can see that on the screen for those of you without screens and just listening to the podcast. So essentially, anything below 7 is shit.
It's trash.
now, and then but previously anything below 3 was trash, apparently. And I think there was an article on, is it Boing Boing, that this is not indeed the case. A guy found some old reviews where everyone had like almost everything had above 7 rating, which I think this is accurate from my memory of stuff in the 90s at least.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a recent phenomenon, and
Yeah, I think it's always been a kind of a problem. Maybe it's become slightly worse, but it's been just endemic of 1 to 10 scale rating of things.
it's just seems like just an inflation, natural inflation that no one is really controlling. So now everything is either 7 or 8 or nothing, really.
I think using star system, even though it's the 5-star jobby, those tend to be kind of a bit more honest because you're sort of more forced to go, that really wasn't, was it? Or like, I can't honestly call this a 4, or like, this just isn't a 5, or whatever. See, it sort of feels like a rounding down, and I think the numbers you get from that, even though there's less detail to them, this is an impression I get, is that they're more honest.
There's also some people just opt out to either not have the numbers at all, even with stars. So, like for example, Rock Paper Shotgun doesn't do anything. They just talk about it. They don't give it a score of any kind. But Eurogamer has a middle ground where they have, I think, 3 ratings. One is recommended, which is like the best you can get. Then one is okay, or whatever they call it. And then the third one is like not really okay.
Yeah,
And that's
interesting.
That's pretty much it. And then the details are in the review itself.
I think that makes kind of a sense when you combine them, because that's really all you need to know about a game. If it's worth playing, it's super worth playing, or it's not worth playing, and then you just get the context. Because that's the thing I've always had a problem with. it being this one-dimensional scale, and like Metacritic, for example, I think is like utterly useless because it's always a 0 star and a 10 star, and then it's just about popularity, which I know, rating is partly the point of its popularity contest, but it just becomes a worthless number. Something I thought I had an idea of about a couple of weeks ago. I was talking with some of the others about it. Was the idea that you could combine a tagging system with a rating system. So, for example, somebody goes on Steam, they pick up a game. Let's pick a random game. Let's say XCOM, and somebody rates it for plot. Obviously, the plot's not very good.
Yep.
They rate it for mechanics. Obviously, mechanics are pretty strong, and anyone can rate out of 10 or whatever any mechanic they want. Or, sorry, any tag that they want, and then they could even give it an overall or not. They could kind of opt in or out of any of these, and then you get your stats at the end, and then you could get even more information out of it just by seeing that people were actually complaining or praising the plot in a game, or it just was never noted in a particular game, so it was completely plot free or whatever. And you learn more from statistical data than just one number.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I think eBay does reviews that way.
Really?
Yeah, when it's quite different in the sense that it's just reviewing a seller or a buyer, but they have like 5 things, and you can opt in or out on any of those, or not, or ignore it completely, or just put one thing in one thing. But yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Because I don't know. For me, I don't really read reviews anymore as to get information about the game, because I it could be just because of my job. I'm not sure. Maybe for people who don't spend that much time in video games, it's not the same. I just need to like watch actual gameplay footage for maybe 2 minutes, and I'm done. I have the opinion. I know what's going on.
Yeah,
more or less. Which leads us to the Void.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. So the recent terrorist attacks didn't really leave video games out of it, interestingly enough.
Somehow.
There was a media frenzy about PlayStation 4 being something that facilitates terrorism nowadays, because of this guy whose name I forgot, but he's the Belgian deputy prime minister, also a security something minister, also a minister of bread and butter, and also of lies on the internet.
Jan Jambon?
Jambon? That's the guy. So a few days before Paris attacks, he was going on about like how WhatsApp isn't really the biggest problem for Belgian security forces, which apparently have. But it's actually like PlayStation 4 network is even harder to crack for their spies to spy on people. And after
that's kind of funny considering like the PlayStation hacks in the past.
So he complained about this, and then Forbes picked it up in a wrong light, and then they went like halfway to saying the PlayStation 4 is used. They were like, oh, what if PlayStation 4 was used for this terrorism planning? Because they had that funny article where the guy was like, what if they use Mario map creator to communicate or whatever? And then the slightly less educated than Forbes news outlets were like, oh yeah, they're using it. Yep. They got it. Their PlayStation 4 video games are bad, man. They're bad. They are using terrorism stuff.
You might have noticed that I didn't say anything about any of this in the week after, and it's sort of become a ritual of mine, and it's sad that it's a ritual. But after any of these fucking big things, I don't really say anything, because every person I read who reacts to anything like this looks like a fucking idiot, like for one reason or the other. So it's like shit like this.
The sadness in his eyes, though, mate.
Perfect. Sadness in his eyes. I just stood there with sadness in my eyes, playing, and I decided I'd distract myself with a game of Battle Royale. Yeah. And I went to the lobby, and there was a guy whose username was Never Baguette. And I wished for death. So yeah.
So PlayStation 4, just to make it clear, could be maybe it's being used for terrorism. So maybe it's Steam, Skype,
pieces of paper,
smoke signals, pigeons, turtles. And elaborate honking patterns on cars, like when you honk your horn. And so, which means that this whole idea of trying to stop people from sharing bad things in anywhere is only there's one way that this can work, and I can share this with the security services. Hopefully, they're tuning in for our show. The only way you can stop this is to just kill everyone, and the sooner
or
you
at
do
least everyone with the ability to communicate thoughts.
yes, humans. Let's say kill all the humans who are not in a coma.
Yeah.
And then there you go. You achieved your goal. That's how you do it. That's the
I
really.
feel like I read that somewhere. I think it was on. Oh wait, no, this was on an ISIL pamphlet. Yeah. Kill all humans. Yeah.
Dex's bumper stickers are also good for secret communication. It is. It's how it works. It's slow, but
if you bomb.
yeah. Bomb now.
Bomb now.
So, which leads us to other terrorism stuff. There was a
Oh yeah.
yeah, the Sikh guy who got photoshopped into being a suicide bomber by Gamergaters, apparently. It's funny.
This guy's name is Virender Jabal.
Yeah, so Mr. Jabal there, who was apparently a critic of Gamergate, I have no idea about this at all, but they apparently hated him because he said some bad things about them. And back in summer this year, in August, they photoshopped him into being a suicide bomber. Badly photoshopped, like terrible job.
Awful.
Yeah, it was like
Photoshop.
I saw it from afar and I was like, that's not real. Plus, also like he's wearing the other turban. It's not a Muslim.
That's clearly a Sikh turban.
Yeah, Jesus, like where are you even from? So, anyways, they did that, and then the stupid media, including Sky, by the way, picked this up. And they're like, look, this is a Paris bomber, because the Gamergate people supplied them with the image that they made a few months ago, and they didn't want to go to waste because they already made the Photoshop and spent a few hours of doing the shitty job that they did. And they sent it to different outlets, and then everyone went nuts and was like, look, we got a picture of this guy. No one fucking noticed, by the way, that the plugs in the wall that he's standing to are American and not French. Yeah,
or the Quran doesn't have a camera built into it.
No, modern versions of Quran actually do. And no one also noticed in those newspapers and in news outlets that he's not wearing that thing. It's the other thing. It's just because everyone with a hat, it doesn't mean that you're immediately a religious terrorist. Just because you're wearing a thing on your head. But either way, so they did that, and then now after that, because I mean, obviously Gamergate is fighting for freedom, right? They're fighting for truth and ethics and shit. And they had to delete their accounts. Those two guys responsible for this thing, they had to delete their Twitter accounts. Isn't that weird? That like, wouldn't you just
unethical behavior?
Yeah, wouldn't you just stand your ground and be like, no, I did this because of it's good. It's for the greater good of a greater number of people. Instead, they're just running away. It's very I don't understand. It's also when your organization's name comes up around a terrorist attack and connected to it in some way, you stop. Take a moment.
Honestly, this isn't the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
Remember when Nero sourced that guy who was involved in like planning a bombing, like an actual bombing?
Yeah. And Nero's involved in this as well. He afterwards, I think, representing the Breiter, whatever the newspaper thing, guy, the magazine, whatever it is, the website. He wrote to him and he said, "Well, how does it feel to be accused of being a terrorist? This is what you've been doing to Gamergate all along."
Gamergate is terrorism. Actually, like the behavior described, where these guys would do this false thing, and then delete their accounts and hide.
No, this is actually about ethics in video game journalism, Ed. Shut up. Get the facts right, and then, open your mouth. Jesus Christ. Don't understand anything about video games, do you? You're probably not a real gamer.
You never even got the high score in Call of Duty.
Or Star Wars Battlefront, where apparently they forgot to include a filter. And so you can go out there now and play that and say whatever the fuck you want, and it's just going to appear. It's just whatever. They didn't put anything in there. There's nothing in place currently to stop any words appearing in the chat. This is a game that cost probably up to, I don't know, $100 million to make, I would assume, just guessing here. Maybe.
Thereabouts, you'd think.
Yeah. Pretty pricey shit. It would probably be like another 1,000 to just put the filter in there, which they already have for other games.
They should just give PlayerUnknown just a bit of money, just a little bit of money to just go in there and just be like, nah, son,
ban everybody.
Banned.
Oh, I was testing stuff with him today, with
Yeah.
some changes in Battle Royale, and he was really giddy. He got to live ban a guy as he was playing the game for being racist. He was really happy about that.
Oh, that shit's real fun.
Couple times he's done that on live, like on someone's stream as well, and like with like thousands of people watching, and he just go boom, and the guy just dies and disappears and never can play again.
Thanks for watching the stream.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that he gets satisfaction out of that.
Yeah.
That makes it better.
In slightly less depressing news, this gentleman from London is making a movie about paint, but he's not going to sniff it. Actually, he's going to just put it on a wall, and the more we pay him in his crowdfunding, I didn't put it in crowdfunding because it's not really strictly video game crowdfunding. It's not even
Well,
video
what
games
the
at all.
fuck?
Yeah, I just because he's kind of protesting the fact that you have to pay the British censor board to give you a rating, and you have to pay them per minute of your work. And I think that is somewhat oppressive. I agree with him. So he's making this movie, which is just paint drying. That's literally what it is. He's going to paint a wall, and then he's going to film it drying with a 4K camera for as long as with the,
4K camera.
yeah, for as long as like he has money to for the application. So he's paying for the footage and filming and editing and whatever. He's getting money for the application to the British Film Board. So because every £7 give him a minute.
Yeah,
So-
£7.09 is the
Yeah.
permanent fee, and the initial upfront submission fee is £101.50.
He's over that already. He has like
Yeah.
£2,600, I think. So
This is going to be a long old film.
he says that if it's above more than 7,000 in the end, then he is going to break the record of the longest film that was ever submitted to the board.
And they have to watch it because
Yeah.
there might be a dick. Who
There
knows?
might be the paint may just turn into a dick.
Yep, you don't
Yeah.
know.
And they have to watch it in the cinemas, as far as I know. They have to sit, because this is
Oh, really?
cinema ratings, so they have to sit in a cinema watch this.
But to get the cinema experience.
Yeah, as far as I know. Well, they're getting
Bit
paid for it,
strange.
so it's all good.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like they get paid for it, and like these are their rules that they're playing by. It is kind of petty. I do like. I think of like I imagine the idea of like this person who's like super into film. They love it so much they end up joining BBFC to do ratings because they're going to be really fair and hopefully like help film, and then they just get given this 7-hour video of a wall and they're just sitting there dutifully, like, tears rolling down their face, going, "This is what I did it for." But probably in practice, it's, I don't know, kind of sour-faced motherfucker who's like, "Well, this isn't getting through. This has got a dick in it." And just have their arms folded the whole time. I don't really know. I'm not sure how to feel about it. Like I like stupid creative uses of Kickstarter if the money's low. Like I had no problem with the potato salad thing because I was like, well, it was everybody else's idiot fault that it became like millions of dollars or whatever. This one's just kind of a funny, petty thing. So yeah, it's kind of funny. I guess.
I think it illustrates a problem. That's what it does, really.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
not
very
really.
effectively illustrates the problem.
It's not really for the film and the enjoyment of the film, and
Oh.
not everything in life has to be that straightforward. It's just kind of
Yes, it is a
commenting.
performance art piece. Or
Yeah, it's a social commentary on a thing that he's unhappy with, essentially.
Yeah.
As an artist, like our first, in the first video, one of the Telltale guys says, "I am an artist."
Well, watch out for people who do that.
Oh, do you want to do the Kotaku bit?
Oh yeah, this was. Where did I? Oh, I've lost my link. Where is it? Oh,
And I
dear.
forgot to put the thing that says Kotaku. Imagine there's a thing on the screen that says Kotaku.
I
That's
I
there.
did lose. I lost the link because we had to restart my machine.
I can give you the link.
Please give me the link.
I'll give you the link.
This section is representative of what I generally feel about Kotaku.
Okay, link is being now copied. And
Kind of.
then... Boom. Wait, no, we're not ready yet. Wait, are you offline on Steam? I can't give you a link.
Not offline on Steam.
Maybe I'm offline on
You're
Steam.
offline on Steam.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Fine. Maybe you're right. There. You got it now.
Cool.
So anyway, they had an article about, I'll just start us off as you're opening it. They had an article about being blacklisted by some publishers.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting and enlightening. And here's Ed
Okay.
Hicks.
Yeah, I got the link finally, and it's loading up. So this is from them talking about. It's kind of almost unprompted, I suppose. They're just them just going, "All right, fine, I'm telling you," and everyone's like, "What? Telling me what?" And what they're saying is that Bethesda and supposedly to a lesser degree Ubisoft have blacklisted them for the past 2 years, or rather Bethesda for 2 years and Ubisoft for like 1 year. And during this article, they basically claim that since their reporting on Bethesda in 2013, in fact, that was detailing the existence of the then secret Fallout 4. They basically never got any voluntary kind of contact from them, so they wouldn't get codes or anybody for interviews or any contact. It wasn't like confirmed, like we're not talking to you, but they never got any replies. And same deal with Ubisoft after they kind of talked about in December 2014 Assassin's Creed Victory at the time, which is now known as Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which recently came out. So I suppose the reason they're coming out now with this article is because Syndicate recently came out, Fallout 4 recently came out, and they've been saying that people who follow them and their core staff have been asking them, well, how come, when the embargo finished on Fallout, how come you guys didn't do coverage of it, didn't do much coverage of it? And it seems that Stephen Totilo, actually it's just one L, so it'll be Totilo, who wrote this, decided he'd sort of set the record straight in an article and talk more about it. And it goes into a bit of detail. And obviously the implication of this are that these companies are behaving pretty unethically. Would you not agree, Andrew?
Maybe I have a slight objection to the fact that what they got banned for, quote unquote, from or got in a bad relationship with them. For one thing, let's just all remember this is an entertainment industry and not some kind of hardcore journalism war shit happening, serious stuff, people dying.
True.
Stuff. So what they got upset about is them releasing their secrets out, and secrets were the commercial kind. They were not the kind where, in both cases, they were not the kind where they were like someone got fired because for racism or sexism or something, or they were mistreating the Inuits that work in Bethesda and beating them up with fish or something like that. It wasn't that case. It was the case of them being like, oh, they're working on Fallout 4, and they're like, fuck, now everyone knows we're working on Fallout 4. So I can't really sympathize with any of the publishers because they're, again, like Mothra and Gojira fighting each other. I don't give a shit. I'm probably gonna get killed anyway. But I don't think Kotaku has really any ground to stand on and complain about that, because they did something that would have upset any company that is trying to keep trade secrets secret.
I suppose, though, that it's not... They're reporting it. Somebody else must have told them it. And I think the difference is... while I also kind of view this as Mothra versus Gojira, or even Mecha Gojira.
Oh, no, not Mecha Gojira.
Yeah,
please.
the distinction is important. Or is it Metal? Oh, I don't remember. I think it's Mecha. Godzilla. Okay, fine. Anyway, so butterfly fighting dinosaur, right? Is that okay? So it would upset the company, and I understand that, and the marketing team would have to maybe go back to square one. But it's kind of their job to report leaks as well as like official press release stuff. Otherwise, it's just official press release stuff, and then you may as well just copy and paste what they gave you. Whereas the company going, "I'm not going to talk to this outlet," is kind of them. It's almost them not doing their job. Like, I feel like a marketing department for a game studio kind of has to accept a little bit of like responsibility and shit. Maybe not responsibility is not the right word, but a bit of shit. Like, you have the media that you have to deal with. Like, they are an almost necessary component of the entire game. And just to kind of specifically cut out a magazine because they published a leak, I find it gives me a kind of bad taste having that approach to, if that is because, like you say, I mean, this is what they're saying. I think I would agree that it would be very difficult to dispute that they were being blacklisted, but the reasoning behind it is a bit more foggy, I suppose. I mean, those are acceptable reasons.
Yeah.
I could believe them being true. It's just there's nothing that super confirms it. But I mean, as far as them saying, "Listen, they've not been talking to us," I could believe that as well, because that would be an easier thing to shoot down. I don't doubt that's the case. I just think it is a bit. It's a bit like weak and immature of a company to do that, even though they're kind of at odds with kind of the goals of Kotaku, I guess. I just think, nah. Just
I wonder
if
shitty. I wonder. There's a couple other things that I would like also raise in that. If I were to ever comment on that, like, in that thread or whatever on the article, they're talking about, like, we're not the only ones as others. They never name anyone after that. And also, okay, so that leak happened, and they were like, they're probably working on Fallout 4. Did others report, like, and I wonder what's the reasoning for, say, I don't know, like Polygon and Rock Paper Shotgun and other big online publishers of whatever, journalists not reporting on this at all. What is the reasoning? Is it just to stay in good relationship with Bethesda?
Yeah, was it the case that they never reported the same
And if
article?
they did, how come they're not banned from it as well? So
so to get like a full impression of where you feel you stand on this, and where we generally feel we stand when it comes to kaiju is far away and just kind of who cares?
They're big, they're quite large.
You probably want to go back and see what each one did, and you want to maybe press them and ask, well, who else is blacklisted? Maybe it may be that they don't want to say that they're blacklisted, these other people. Who knows? If you cared, those are the directions you should go in.
Yeah, exactly. That was also interesting. Another interesting angle was a guy in the comments to that article on Kotaku saying, so is there a guarded hope now that you publish this that they will unban you? And the guy who wrote this, I believe that he's the chief editor of Kotaku, he was like, well, he didn't say no to that question. So maybe there is some kind of guarded hope of being unbanned. It's a very strange relationship in general between, when you're doing entertainment reporting and stuff, it's a very strange relationship between, it's not as like, oh yeah, I'm a war reporter, I go to the war and I report what's, the bodies I've seen. You depend on the publisher to give you shit so you can write about that shit. Or you can wait until it's, available in retail, buy it, and then report on it, which makes you like 3 days late or 4 days late behind everyone else who is in good relationship with your publisher. So that's the dilemma, and it's a serious dilemma. It's not something that, like, it's just bullshit, made up shit.
In a way, it's a breeding ground for way more dilemma situations, because critics are friends with devs and or enemies with devs or publishers, and it's easier to see like people's individual links to each other and stuff versus like one journalist and a theater of war. That's more of a man versus nature kind of thing. And also, let's not forget, video games don't matter. So like whenever you have a situation where things get sticky, you can always fall back on it doesn't matter. So then the people involved will go, oh, fuck it, then I'll do it. Whereas, like, this isn't a war where you get your head cut off if you talk to the wrong person or you interview the wrong guy or whatever, you get blown up. It's just, someone will write an article, I'll just deny it. So you kind of end up with more weird, convoluted situations where you've got Derek Smart yelling about someone's unfinished game when he's not really finished any good games. And then people talking about like unconfirmed sources, talking about shit from articles 2 years ago, and you've been blacklisted and you're not allowed to talk and you slept with this guy, and everyone's just like, wow, none of this matters.
Exactly, yeah. So, and if like we would reach maybe like peak oil or have some energy crisis and electricity would like go out, like none of this would matter at all. No one would be able to play video games to begin with.
Imagine like the two guys around the fire eating the last fucking tin of beans in the world, and they're like, remember that article when Kotaku got blacklisted because they broke Assassin's Creed early? Yeah, man, that was fucking raw. And then he's like, dude, can you pull out my tooth? I think it's infected.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good premise for a story, though.
The last two surviving people are like video game critics.
Yeah.
Look forward to the final episode of People's Exhibit where we're going to get dressed up and do a scene around a fire and pretend it's the apocalypse.
With 4K cameras, 18-hour footage.
Yeah, oh, amazing. And then right like 7 hours in, I'm just going to say something really racist.
And then say that you really want to have sex with all religious icons in the world.
Yeah. The last half of it is first person through a VR headset, so it's quite like vague and difficult to look at. And it's just hardcore sex with Mary Magdalene.
End of civilization. Which also is the case with the next item on the list here. Mobile Strike is a mobile game by the people who made. This doesn't matter, obviously, because it's a game. Who made? Is it Game of War? Yeah, Game of War. One with the tits, tits McGee or whatever that you guys call it.
Yeah.
This one has the man tits McGee, which is Arnie. Arnie is behind this. You don't see this in this video. I just wanted to show you the video first. This is not gameplay footage or anything like that, by the way. Just a 30-second shit.
And it's well worth saying it's not gameplay footage because it looks like gameplay footage is something from the early 2000s.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not even that good. You're not gonna see a fucking tank move in that game. You're just gonna stand there. You're gonna tap on it, and then it's gonna ask you for money.
Yeah.
Because I guess you just need to like fuel the tanks, and this fuel costs real money or whatever. But yeah, it's the same studio making a different game now because they have to cover all their bases. They got the ancient world something.
Yeah, they got the foolish fantasy people. Now they want the insecure military people.
Yeah, there you go. And so this time around, the previous game they had Mariah Carey and what's her name?
Kate Upton before that.
Kate Upton before that, or throughout the entire thing, I guess. Now they have this gentleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's two promotional images that appeared here. In one of them, he is in some crazy office where people are running around and jumping tables, and in the other one, he's in his more standard, I guess.
Is that Martin Shkreli to his left?
It looks like him, doesn't it? In the other picture, he's in his more sort of standard situation of holding a gun and
no. He's in the standard situation of holding his arms up, and then there's a gun, and they're not quite. They don't quite match.
Not really.
It looks like a comic book drawing. It looks like the gun was kind of added later, and not at the same time.
And also, it's not really him either. But his trigger finger is on the magazine of the gun.
Well, that's just proper trigger discipline.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's. It must be a very long trigger finger, is what I'm saying. The lucky ladies who have known him intimately. So that's the thing. It's out now.
The lucky maids.
Yeah, free to play. So you can download it.
I think it's free to pay.
It's free to pay. You're free to pay for the features that have been locked out of the game, which is all of them.
Yep.
And apparently, when I was reading about this, the Game of War thing is making a revenue of $1 million a day.
Yeah, we've reported that before.
Maybe I forgot the numbers. I forgot my brain forgot the incident.
I'm sorry, Malala.
This is rough. We actually have a tech news this time around. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Every time I can show this image, I'm a happy boy. So. Steam OS is not only just a word now, it's a thing that you can have because Steam machines were released a week ago. We talked about this last time. So people got around to actually looking at the operating system, and guess what? It turns out it's shit. That's really what it is. That they did benchmarks tests mostly, and Ars Technica, which is another magazine, and they were really bad. Like Windows 10 was doing much better than. The same machine with Windows 10 was doing much better than the same machine with the Steam OS. And then they were like, okay, fine. What if the source games are really good on Steam OS? And they were not very good on Steam OS either. So that's
so I guess they concentrated on the latest DirectX because that's the one that's available on Windows 10. It's what the latest graphics cards work very well with. And it's what... I mean, not even Arma 3 uses... DX12?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think Armored 3 is on 11, as are most
games in the world.
And the jump between your 780 and say your 9 series, your 980 or whatever, I think on DX10 stuff, the 780 is actually fucking miles better than 980. It's just for the newer stuff is where the thing switches because their focus is on new games and kind of locking you out of the old hardware. So I can kind of understand if they went, well, if that's the focus of Windows 10, let's go that way, and your performance goes that way. But it's still like at the same time, if you want to take over games, you should probably be able to play lots of games. And if that's the
Yeah.
case here, it
And
seems like they've kind of failed in that regard.
playing them now and not in like in 2 years when everyone has the X12 or something like that. Because you're buying them today, I guess. Whatever. Anyway, that's a thing. Keep in mind if you're crazy enough to get a Steam machine instead of building
Oh,
your
they
own
just
computer.
wanted to synergize with the Steam controller and make sure that there was shit across the board.
That's great, Ed. Which leads us to the shittest title of the week, and
Oh, that sounds good.
this week was fucking amazing. It was There's some crazy shit out there. I even went as far as just getting each scene for each game, so we can concentrate
cool.
and discuss because they were so bad. Choosing a winner was kind of hard, but also kind of easy, and you'll see what I mean when I get to that point. So let's start us with a somewhat famous game by now. This is something that was in early access and came out recently. Life is Feudal, Your Own. Now, since I first heard about this game, I thought it was a mistranslation or some kind of misunderstanding of how English language works. And I still think so, now that it's been released and no one bothered to fix the mistake in the title. It's not...
What should it have said?
Who knows? I don't know, because I don't understand what it means. Because it's not... It's For example, these are all the runner-ups. This is not the winner or whatever. We're going to go through runner-ups first. This is everything that was released in the last week, as I always repeat. So it's not something I dug out of, like, 1990s or something like that. This shit's still happening. We're still having this problem. This one isn't really a winner because it's mostly just a confusing title.
You don't just go, wow, that's bad. You go, oh.
It's bad because it doesn't make much sense.
It's in the uncanny valley of names.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone ever asked them that. Like, there's an interview with the developers, like, so what does it mean? And they're like, don't you understand? Your own. And that's the end of the interview. Moving on. World Ship Simulator. Again, another famous title, but think about it. What does it really mean? World Ship Simulator.
Well,
Is this a type of ship?
yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to see the screenshots so I can lady on a desk.
Mm.
Oh no, there's boats. So
Yeah.
is this like ships of the world? Ships that can go round the world?
Wouldn't that be called that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see that my point? Like,
Because if this was like a planet with like a big hole in the side and like rocket fuel shooting out of it, and it was smashing into other planets, then it would make sense because it's a world ship.
oh, isn't that like we don't need to go to space? The whole Christian thing. We don't need to go to space because God gave us the best spaceship in the world. It's Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not great for navigating though, is it really?
It doesn't have any controls.
Yeah. Take
That-
the wheel, Jesus.
Classic God joke. Uh, so anyway, yeah, it's something I think people got used to this title because it's been around. Again, I think this is something again came out of the early access or whatever the fucking access. But just think about what it doesn't mean anything. It says World Ship Simulator.
It's okay. You just take three random words, see if it's taken. It isn't. That's my video game. Let's go. Could be a
Yeah.
game jam.
Then you get mixed rating on Steam review, whatever user review thing, and then you
Yeah.
get
Game's amazing. I have no idea what it means.
yeah. Every review ever.
Yeah.
This one's quite special. I think this is a Japanese game, as far as I can tell from the script. Cinderella Escape! R12.
R12.
Yeah, I included 3 screenshots of this because 2 of them
it's
are
one of
like a
these.
transition from one
I
state
see.
to another, where she goes kza and breaks a thing. I think it's a puzzle game of a damsel being imprisoned, but I don't think anyone's rescuing her. She's rescuing herself.
I like the stats. Just
Yeah, you like? The
oh,
stats?
nice kick animation. Where are your arms? Just Mind you.
She always has items behind these. It never move. When
Maybe she's been tied up or some shit.
there's a
Yeah, I guess.
screenshot where she's jumping and she does the same. She jumps very high, but her arms are still behind her back, which is implausible. Anyway, Cinderella Escape! Exclamation mark R12. Whatever that means, but I guess it makes sense for someone in the world, and we're happy for them. Next one is actually probably a decent game, especially judging by the reviews. It seems like some kind of deep strategy thing that people go nuts about who are into this sort of thing. It's a very ugly looking thing, but the name is really the problem. It's Conquest of Elysium 4. And you would think like, okay, wait a minute, what happened with the 1, 2, and 3? And I don't know, because couldn't find them. Because
maybe it's Elysium 4 as the planet in the system that they're conquesting.
Oh, that never occurred to me. Maybe, yeah.
But the problem is they'll never be able to make a sequel.
No, that's because it used to be Conquest of Elysium 4 too.
Yeah, and obviously everyone... Actually, that's a great idea, because then everyone would colloquially call it Conquest of Elysium 420.
Amazing. Another 10 sequels later. The next one is just kind of long and strange, mostly because it's in 2 languages, I guess. I don't know. This is called Higurashi When They Cry Ho or Ho dash Chapter 2 Wataganashi.
Pamokanjilad and Tanagra. Shaka when the walls fell.
No, Shaka when Higurashi fell, I think. This seems one of those like anime boobs game.
Yeah,
with
one
long
of those anime boobs games. The green one looks like she's going to be pregnant later on.
Yeah, I think so. Because
You know what I mean?
yeah, I think they're just gonna Photoshop that on that very image. Yeah, exactly. Minimal input, maximum income. I think this is the
This
model.
this is the kind of image that you want to Photoshop a suicide detonation belt onto, not somebody's actual selfie. That's horribly distasteful. But on this, that's fucking amazing. Have a head pop off and fly into space.
Yeah, and then you got Fallout 4. The next one is Heroes and Titans: Online.
It's all this week.
Yeah, it's everything this week. Like all of them could have been really the winners, but you'll see the winner. I took several screenshots of this as well because every screenshot of this game on Steam has a text underneath at the bottom that says "challenge other players." I feel like that probably has something to do with the game mechanic itself, that you have to challenge other players in order to.
You reckon when you're
enjoy
playing the game at the bottom it just says challenge other players even while you're challenging them?
I can believe that, judging from what I've seen so far about this game. It's a free game, so you don't lose anything, right? Just download it, play it, see if you can challenge other players.
I'm smarty, don't download this game.
Next one is very purple, as is that one after that one. There's 2 purple games that were released last week, sorry. This one is Showing Tonight, Midhunters Incident. Oh, sorry, Mindhunters instead, never mind. Showing Tonight, Mindhunters Incident. Great name, almost unpronounceable. I was guessing translation from German, but I don't know, I couldn't really figure it out. But it's
Tonight,
it's probably a bad idea to call your game that. It's not the worst I've seen. It's pretty long, and good luck with that. Essentially, is what I want to say. The entire game is quite purple, except for one screenshot which is quite green. Even when like there's like you're next to fire, the like fire's purple. Either way, next one's quite purple as well. But this one is a classic video game title, Celestial Tear or Tear, Demon's Revenge. Great. It's from the generator like straight.
It is. It has the rise and fall of a handshake with a salesperson, doesn't it?
Very good. Yeah, very good comparison, Ed. Next runner up is also quite video game because it has the word dungeon and kingdom in it because it's called Dungeon Kingdom: Sign of the Moon.
Colon should be banned. You know the fucking was it the BBFC or the people this is what they should be doing, not watching paint dry. They should be like going, no, you can't name your game that. That's shit. No colon, no fucking colon. Yes. What does that mean? What is a world ship?
The aesthetic police, I like it. Instead of the mind police. Change dystopia into utopia.
I want to be like an agent of the entertainment division, like you say you were on Twitter. You just bust into rooms. You're like, "Did you make did you make Dungeon Kingdom Sign of the Moon?" And they're like, "I'm sorry, man. It's all I can think of. Change it."
The last one is probably the most famous. Well, definitely the most famous out of this entire bunch, and I think we shouldn't ignore it just because it's a famous game, with tons of money invested into it. Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Just think about that. Again, it's something you may have gotten used to, and you're like, oh yeah, Assassin's Creed in Syndicate. But all the Assassin's Creeds are about syndicates of killers, right? They're about the assassins. So this is like calling a game like Car Mechanic Simulation : Simulator. This is what it is. They just went like full lazy. They went to like a synonym, whatever dictionary, looked it up, and oh, Syndicate is kind of like what the organization that we're doing. That's great. The group of assassins : group.
Why don't they gradually, as the series goes on, like just kind of take back meaning until it's just abstract mush? So it's Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and then it's Assassin's Creed Job. It's like Job Creed Job, and then it's Activity Group. And then it's just thing,
stuff.
Stuff. That's a really
amazing
good
game.
Name. Write that down. Stuff.
I'm gonna cut it out for a final version so no one steals it. And if Kotaku ever reports on this, I'm gonna fuck them up.
I'm gonna blacklist the shit out of them.
The winner was somewhat uncontested because of how terrible it is. Predictably terrible name. But terrible nonetheless. So the winner of this week's the shittest title of a video game is Shadow Ninja: Apocalypse. The game looks as bad as it sounds. Probably is as bad as it sounds. It's just the shittest thing you could have ever named your game. Don't do it.
The word Shadow Ninja together is the literary equivalent of saying run fast. Like, I know you're going fast because you're running. Running is a fast ambulatory like mode of movement. Not what that's for. Like a shadow ninja. Like, what is this going to be? Like obvious McObvious ninja in your face, spitting at your girlfriend.
That's pretty good. That's good. Those are all good titles. Ninja in your face.
Ninja in your face, and then just apocalypse. Like apocalypse. Those two words. Excellent game. But
would it be like about colonoscopy or gone wrong? Rogue colonoscopy?
Good news and bad news. What? Everyone's going to make it. What's the bad news? Apart from your anus. Sorry? The planet? I wish it were that simple.
That sounds like a Devolver game.
Apocalypse. Thing, stuff.
I don't understand how it's still not illegal to have apocalypse in your game title. I just don't...
Why doesn't Julian Gollop just content troll them all? Couldn't he? What's it called? Trademark troll? What is it called? When you do it off the name.
Is it patent trolling?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, patent trolling.
I suppose it's not patent, but yeah, like the people with Edge and Scrolls and all this shit.
Yeah.
You could just do that. You go, I hate this game, but I did call it Apocalypse before everybody else.
So pay me.
Motherfucker.
Everyone has to license the word Apocalypse from Julian Gollop.
That's perfect.
So he caused it. We're gonna finish on a joke tweet from Porygon, which is by the way, in case you didn't know, it's a parody account. Some people didn't know, so they tweeted this thing first some time ago, a few days ago. It said, why developers need to stay true to their artistic vision and also do exactly what players demand of them, even when those things conflict. And some Gamergate got upset about it. He used Gamergate hashtag and said, do you have any idea how stupid that sounds? To which Porygon said that they've already fired their entire staff because of this farcical tweet, and they apologized, and then they said, for the gamers.
Oh, Porygon is so good.
Which is ideal, and they've been getting better and better as well. They used to be a bit like, and now they're like fucking nailing it.
Knock it out of the park. It is one of the rare examples of the perfect tweet. Like it's like watching in slow motion a baseball dude, at like 1,000 FPS, and he fucking hits it, and you see it squish, and you see the expression on his face and his determination, and the timing is utterly perfect, and you just see it sail away and never land. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's going to be the second spaceship of God. This baseball that went. This satellite of our spaceship without controls.
Yeah, the final thing I want to say on that is some grey bloke retweeted this and said there must be a word for this phenomenon when someone makes a fucking fool out of themselves in this way, that arguing against something that isn't real, isn't there, and thus punches themselves in the face. To which I'm putting forward, and I'm hoping people can push this as terminology. I want this to be the phrase I coin. It is playing fetch with no stick. So if you guys can just put that out there, whenever you see someone do this, say, "Oh, he's playing fetch with no stick," and then walk away. They go, "Oh, what was that? I'll check on Urban Dictionary. It's not there."
But you probably get like tingling sensation every time that phrase is being used because you made it up.
Yep, that's it. It's going to really tickle my libido.
Yeah, your aesthetic libido. Please let's differentiate.
I'm an artist, but like a really misunderstood one, which is why I'm not in that writing competition anymore.
I'm glad we incorporated that into the show. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. So this was People's Exhibit. For all your future artistic discussions, we're gonna be here next week. We go live every Thursday, not really at 10 p.m. GMT, and you can also watch us on YouTube if you want to see the recording. If you're watching the recording, press the fucking button, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Well, I'm glad the restart fixed that camera thing.
Fuck that camera thing.
Fuck off, camera.